Yo, what is going on, everybody? This is Mysticall. Welcome back to my 8.3 Mistweaver Monk PvP guide. Today, we're going to be talking about talents and PvP talents for you. Just jumping right into it, just giving you guys a breakdown, why I choose these talents, when you can switch off of them, and what different kind of ways you can go about your talent tree. So for the most part, as far as regular talents go, there aren't many changes that get done in this talent tree. I'm still going to go through each tier, tell you guys my thoughts about each talent and why I choose it. This first one, always Mist Wrap. Enveloping Mist, although you don't use it that often, it's pretty important to have, and the additional healing and the increased duration on it is very good, especially versus teams with a lot of crowd control. If you can get an Enveloping Mist and Renewing Mist off on your teammate before like a full polymorph, you really shouldn't really have a problem sitting that full polymorph, because Enveloping Mist already does so much healing, and this just adds extra healing. These other two, not really useful. I've tried to use Chi Wave, but it's just not. It helps with putting your Mystic Touch passive on enemies, but the healing really isn't as good as the increased healing to Enveloping Mist. In the second tier, these are all actually pretty solid choices. I tend to lean towards Chi Torpedo and Tiger's Lust. I like Tiger's Lust versus Windwalker Monks and Mages. The reason for this is because, one, Tiger's Lust can be used on your teammates. So if you're playing with a warrior that really isn't that mobile, and they're rooted, and you don't have Dispel, they're going to be sitting that root. So I like Tiger's Lust for utility for my teammates. It does have a 20-yard range, so it makes it a very short range. But if it's on smaller maps like Dalaran Sewers or Ruins of Lordaeron, it's a pretty good solid choice to take. Pretty much everything else, I play Chi Torpedo. Very good mobility, gives you that what's it called, the movement speed increase, so it's very good. It's also really good for getting between two pillars. Normally pillars are about one Chi Torpedo across, so you could just Chi Torpedo to this pillar, get right around the corner, completely avoid any CC, or if teams are on you, it makes it very easy for you to get away. It makes you very slippery, and even if you think a team is about to focus you, you could just roll away and just leave them in the dust. No way they can get to you unless it's like a Demon Hunter, but even then you have peels from your teammates. So Chi Torpedo and Tiger's Lust. Celerity is also a pretty good option. I'll talk about essences or traits in another video, but if you have the trait on my way, or exit strategy, not on my way, exit strategy, there is potential where you can just roll just a lot in a row, like 4 or 5 times in a row if you have teams hitting you. So Celerity is good if you pair it with this. However, it's not really ideal, especially if teams don't hit you. Chi Torpedo is very good for getting in and out, getting that in-cap leg sweep, and just rolling away. In the third tier, pretty much exclusively Manatee. I like Manatee a lot. I do get some questions about life cycles, and although this is a pretty good option, I just don't think it's consistent enough to use. In my games, again, I can give you guys some healing breakdowns. I don't use Enveloping Mist that often. I use Enveloping Mist 12 times this game. It's just, I don't really use it enough to really think it's a good talent. Like, I mean, obviously it's a mana reduction on your Enveloping Mist and then your Vivify, because Vivify is your most heal. But I tend to lean towards Manatee. I would highly recommend Manatee. I think Life Cycles is a little bit, it's not consistent enough. You're not going to be using Enveloping Mist, Vivify, Enveloping Mist, Vivify, Enveloping Mist, Vivify every time. And if you're not, you're wasting it completely. So I think Manatee is definitely the way to go. It lines up with a lot of cooldowns, and I think it's much better than Life Cycles. In the fourth tier, I never use Tiger Tail Sweep, but I do use Song of Chi-Ji and Ring of Peace a lot. For the default is Ring of Peace, so if you're newer to Monk and you don't really want to overextend and possibly get swapped to, Ring of Peace, completely fine. You never have to swap to Song of Chi-Ji. Really, you could play Ring of Peace. Now, the only time I swap to Song of Chi-Ji is in 2v2 Arena versus teams where they can't kill me. And we want the extra crowd control. For example, if I'm playing Mistweaver Arms Warrior versus Resto Druid Warlock, I'm going to be playing Song of Chi-Ji because, one, they can't swap to me and kill me, and two, the Warlock only has 1 kick and Mortar Coil. Those are the only 2 things I need to deal with to get this Song of Chi-Ji casted. So, things like that, teams like, I don't know, Resto Druid, Fire Mage or Frost Mage. Again, they have a really long lockout, and they're really not going to kill me. Versus Holy Pally Fire Mage, potentially they can't kill you. But versus the rest of Druid versions, it's not that big a deal. So, again, versus teams that can't really swap to you and kill you, and with really long lockouts, Song of Chi-Ji is really good. Outside of that, Ring of Peace is pretty much default. In this tier, Healing Elixir, Diffuse Magic, or Dampen Harm. Dampen Harm is pretty good versus Destrolux because they have big damage and you want to be able to reduce it. Diffuse Magic is also really good versus it, but it's a minute and a half cooldown, and Dampen Harm is 2 minutes. So I tend to stay away from Dampen Harm and usually go towards Diffuse Magic and Healing Elixirs. My default choice is normally Healing Elixirs for a few reasons. One, it's free. It literally costs no mana. So I don't know. Let me see this game. We got Healing Elixirs. I did 62,000 healing. It costs no mana, you know, and it works really well with Fortifying Brew or your Emblem that increases your healing. Diffuse Magic is good, obviously, versus teams that do magic. You know, if you're playing against MLD, Fire Mage, Destrolux, Druid, all magic, I would say Diffuse Magic is definitely the way to go. You reduce the damage you take and reflect any harmful spells that are cast on you. So yeah, it's pretty good. Or that are dots that are on you, not spells. So yeah, I would take Diffuse Magic versus casters and pretty much Healing Elixirs versus everything else. In the 90 tier, you just go statue every time. Again, I can give you some healing breakdowns. My statue is right... Where's my statue? Right here. Oh, it's my top heal. My top heal this game. Let me see if we got another game right here. It is my number 2 heal. I'm not used to seeing it that high, but this was 2s. It's my 5 heal. So again, putting that statue down, staying in line of statue, and letting it just channel. Again, if you channel while you're in line of it, it'll stay channeled to you, even if you break line of sight. So you can see it's still channeling on me, even though I'm out of line. It's because I cast it on myself. Now, if I cancel this and I start casting Soothing Mist on myself, this shouldn't channel on me, and it's not. See, there is no channel because I'm casting Soothing Mist on myself on a line of the statue, but if I start casting Soothing Mist on myself in line of the statue, it will continue to channel on me, even though I'm out of line of sight. So that's why it's very, very important to make sure you cast it on yourself or a teammate while they're in line. And in the final tier, I have never swapped out of Focus Thunder. Focus Thunder is definitely the best talent to choose in the final tier. Uprailing and Rising Mist, they're just not worth it. They don't do enough healing. You don't really benefit much from them. And Focus Thunder increases your mana. I mean, helps with your mana, healing output, just everything. It's just all around the best talent in this tier. So now let's move on to PvP talents. This first option is going to vary depending on what race you are, but I play an Orc, so I play Trinket every single game. For those of you who don't know, Orcs have a racial called Hardiness. If I can find it, I thought I just saw it right here. Reduces the duration of stuns on me by 20%. So basically, I have a baseline Relentless for stuns, and that's really good for monks. So that's what I tend to gravitate towards. If you're a human, Relentless is your best option because you have every man for himself that can get you out of any stun anytime. 3-minute cooldown, but still very solid. And if you're playing any other race, I think Trinket is your best bet. You need Trinkets, even though it's less than ideal. You need Trinket. So if you're playing any other race, play Trinket. If you're human, play Relentless. Now, as far as the PvP talents go, Chrysalis baseline. You do not switch out of Chrysalis. It is the best PvP talent that you have. Life Cocoon is pretty much your only cooldown. So making it a 55-second cooldown is very, very good. In these next tiers, it's going to depend on what you're queuing into. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you some scenarios and tell you what I run. And I get a lot of questions about certain comps. So biggest one versus Rogue Mage, I play Short Port, Zen Focus T. That's what I go. Now, that's Rogue Mage Pally. The reason is because they can swap to you anytime during a match, like anytime. If they just want to start going you, they can just start training you to the ground. That's why Short Port's really good. It's also really good for avoiding crowd control, like polymorphs, making the Pally really work for those Hodges. So Eminence is very good. Zen Focus T because 2 of them have kicks, and they're very long lockouts. On top of the CC they already have, you don't want to get locked out. It's a very good. Very good ability, and you should be able to top somebody in 5 seconds as a monk, so that's very nice. Now versus Rogue Mage Disc Priest, I play Zen Focus T, Counteract Magic. Now I get this question a lot. why do I play Counteract Magic? And the reason I play it is because Disc Priests have an ability called Purge the Wicked. It's a dot, and they need to put it on multiple people to be able to really heal. So Counteract Magic affects this. So Counteract Magic is for extra healing while you're in CC. Yeah, if you're getting for the extra healing output. And the Zen Focus Tea is for the same reason for the RMPally, because in 5 seconds, you know, if you're immune to silence for 5 seconds, you should be able to top somebody within that time. If you're very uncomfortable and you feel like you're gonna get swapped to, or you keep dying, you can play this versus Rogue Mage Disc Priest as well. Completely fine. If you think you're gonna get swapped to, it's okay. But for the most part, Counteract Magic for the extra healing, very good. It also works on the Crucible Flame dot, or Concentrated Flame dot. So you can use this as a heal. It's also a dot that you put on an enemy. I can possibly, if it's not on cooldown, right here I got the Trusty Turnip. Right here, if I use on this guy right here, this dot is affected by Counteract Magic. So if even one of them is playing Concentrated Flame Major, you'll get the Counteract Magic healing addition to the Renewing Mist. Now that's pretty much the biggest one. That's Rogue Mage versus Destro Lock, Arms Warrior. Same setup. Usually if it's a caster and a melee, this is my setup. However, if it's an Arms Warrior, I'll play Grapple Weapon. If it's a caster and a not so mobile melee, I will play this, especially if they have a dot. If it's a Windwalker, I'll play Short Port. Versus Windwalkers, you should normally always play Eminence, just because if they try to go your port is a lesser cooldown than theirs, so it helps you get away a lot easier. Now versus double melee teams, and it's depending on your situation and your team strategy, but for the most part, I play Disarm Short Port. This works about 99% of the time. Versus Walking Dead, this is very good because the Disarm prevents the healing from the Death Knight if the Death Knight is your main target. If the Death Knight is not your main target, you can play Zen Focus Tea. Now this is when it gets a little complicated. If they're not playing with a Resto Shaman, so let's say it's Resto Druid Walking Dead, and you feel like you won't get kicked, you could play this Refreshing Breeze instead of Zen Focus Tea for the additional healing output. Now, if you think that they are going to go you, or they're playing with a Resto Shaman, I would recommend Zen Focus Tea. Resto Shaman brings an additional kick into a comp that already has like 6 ways to interrupt you. You have Incap, Grip, you have Mind Freeze, you have Pet Kick, you have Windwalker kick, and then you have so many. So Zen Focus Tea is very good versus Resto Shaman Cleave teams. And then if you don't want to get kicked, you play Zen Focus Tea. If you want the extra healing output, you can play Refreshing Breeze. And that's pretty much all the different talents. Yeah, if there's a team with a Destro Lock or a Shadow Priest, Counteract Magic is normally good. But the only one I really don't use is Dome of Mist. I'm not really a huge fan of it. Dome of Mist and Wear the Crane, but Dome of Mist mostly because I don't really use Enveloping Mist that much anymore. And yeah, Wear the Crane I don't use that often. Surging Mist you never use. Yeah, and those are the 3 you don't use. These other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you use depending on what you're queuing into. So again, if you're running into a comp where you don't know what you're playing into, or you don't know what PvP talents or regular talents to use, or you keep losing it and you just don't know what to pick, like, please feel free to comment down below and I will be happy to answer those questions. That pretty much does it for talents. It's regular talents are pretty much this. PvP talents are pretty much this. And if you're queuing into a caster, this. And if you're playing against a melee team or melee cleave, you play this. I mean, if you're queuing into a Windwalker or a Demon Hunter, play this. And that's pretty much the go-to way to do it. And with that said, I hope that answers a lot of your questions. Again, any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to answer those questions. And that's pretty much it. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you later.